You're watching the prices of your go-to ingredients skyrocket and your monthly expenses are going up. Let's face it, the 2025 economy is just sucking all of the joy out of cooking. But what if you had no joy for cooking to begin with? So my name's Stephanie. I'm a mother of 3, and in the almost 20 years that I've been cooking for my family, I have still not really enjoyed the act of cooking. I love sitting down with my family around the dinner table. I love a tasty meal, but I just don't enjoy the time I spend in the kitchen. So what do I do about it in this economy where we are eating out less, we're cooking at home more? How are we surviving? Well, you're in the right place if you're curious. I am going to take you through our weekly grocery haul, and I will show you the meals that we are making. Now, this week in particular is a really hard one because our schedule is jam-packed, and in previous economies, I probably would have said, hey, this is a night for pizza. This is a night to eat out. We can't do that. We had some pretty big expenses come up in the last few weeks, and so we are really trying to control what we can, and one of those is our food budget. So for someone like me who doesn't enjoy cooking, that can be a challenge. So I'm going to take you along with me so you can see what we're planning and what we eat. But one thing is for sure, I have one goal for this week, and that is do not eat out. So let's see if we meet our goal. So if you're new here, I use what I call my alphabet meal planning method, and it starts with A. And I ask myself, what do I already have in the house? Because if I can pare down that grocery list, that means I am spending less, which is always helpful. And so looking at my own pantry right now, so I have some homemade salad dressing that needs to get used up. I have a 10-pound bag of potatoes that we haven't even touched, and I need to make sure we make some potatoes this week. We also have a head of iceberg lettuce that I want to make sure we use up. We have some apples that are getting to the end of their life and some bananas. So looking at that, I already have a couple of meals in mind. So then the B in my meal planning method stands for bargains. Are there any sales going on that I can plan meals around? This week, surprise, surprise, there are really no great bargains. So then we move on to the calendar. And this is where the big sticking points are for our family this week. Looking at our calendar, I've kind of mapped out the different events. There are 2 days that I'm really concerned about. The first is a day where I take my daughter out of town. We do like a bartering situation. My daughter gets horseback riding lessons and I teach piano lessons. And so it's a great thing, but it takes us right up to dinner. I'm walking in the house at dinner time. So that one is a challenge. And then the next day is a challenge because there are sporting events where I have a kid in pep band, I have another kid on the spirit squad, and then I have a commitment for the community choir. And so that day is another day where people need to eat at different times, and it's gonna be a challenge. So I will most likely plan a crock pot meal or something that I can transfer into the crock pot to stay warm. The rest of the week is typical. There are some scheduling hiccups, but the first Monday and Tuesday are gonna be really challenging. And typically those would be days that I would say, you know what, everybody fend for yourself, grab a burger from McDonald's or whatever. But we are really trying to eliminate the eating out from our budget. So then the letter D in my alphabet meal planning method stands for dinners. I go through and I plan all of the dinners for the week, because if I'm strategic enough, those dinners can then become lunch the next day. Or if I have leftover ingredients from that dinner, I can use them maybe for a breakfast. So I really only plan dinner. Lunches, we usually just have some staples in the house or leftovers, and same thing with breakfast. And then E in my alphabet meal planning method stands for everything else. Do I have everything else I need to make dinner for my family this week? And so after I have dragged and dropped all of the dinner ideas into my digital meal planning app, it actually creates this consolidated list, which is really helpful. So like all of the eggs from all of the recipes for the week get put together, and it tells me the total number of eggs I need. And so then there's going to be things that I don't. So it'll say, you know, you need this much brown sugar. Well, I have plenty of brown sugar in my house. So I just go down that list and I tap the things that I don't need, and it takes it off the list. And then there's a place where I can add anything else that I need. And so I have done all of that. It is time to go grocery shopping. I will show you what we buy for the week, and then I will take you through the week. I'll show you what we make for dinner to see if we actually meet our goal of not eating out this busy, busy week. So this is everything that I grabbed from Walmart. The house was crazy when I got back, so I decided to just do a voiceover. Every time I go to Walmart, I start in the clearance section. We were able to find a t-shirt for one kid and then yoga pants for another kid for $1, and I thought that was a great deal. I also picked up a dog harness for $1, and then this little toy was $3. Breaking the bank here. And then we've had colds at our house, so I picked up some more Dayquil. And for protein, we have a lot of meat in our freezer, so I just picked up some hot dogs and some chicken along with some eggs. And then we needed more lactose-free milk, so I grabbed a jug of that, some half and half for a recipe, as well as some sour cream. And then I also picked up some string cheese and some turkey sticks. If you remember, I always liked to grab those combo packs, and they're so expensive. So I discovered the turkey sticks, and we do that instead. For bread, we got tortillas, hamburger buns, hot dog buns, white bread, and bagels to use up that cream cheese. And then I thought I was running low on Worcestershire sauce, so I got that. And then other canned goods for just our different recipes that I needed this week. And then luckily I did look in my pantry and noticed we were running low on brown sugar, so I did get that. Then for produce, these Honeycrisp apples were on a manager's special, so I grabbed a bag of those. I got a green bell pepper, a bag of whole carrots, a bunch of limes, and some lemons. And then we also got a fresh head of lettuce and some cucumbers for salads, some spinach as well. And even though I did grab the stuff to make salads, I also grabbed some kits as well for those busy nights. We got bananas and grapes, 2 types of onion. I got some asparagus and some Roma tomatoes. And then I also got some cilantro, 2 bunches for some meals, and some strawberries. And then the pick your own broccoli, bins, and green onion did not look good today, so I had to get those already bagged. So in total, with a couple of hair care items for the teenagers, I spent a total of $165. Saturday, we had a jalapeno lime chicken with some cilantro, rice, and beans. And on Saturdays, I typically have a little bit more time to do like chopping and that kind of stuff, and also on Sunday. And so these are the 2 days where I spend probably the most time in the kitchen. And I don't mind it too much, especially if the main thing I have to do is just chop. And so I'll like turn on a show and just stand there and chop in the kitchen, which, by the way, if you've been here before, you will notice that this kitchen looks different. We moved out of state. We live in Montana now, and our kitchen has a very interesting countertop. Maybe I'll talk more about that sometime, but if you're noticing I have a weird countertop, then that is why. We switched homes. And so right now I am working on the marinade, which is just lime zest, lime juice, some olive oil. And then in my break from YouTube, we did discover one of our family members with tummy problems is very triggered by garlic. So this recipe does call for minced garlic, but we leave it out. And then there's also some Worcestershire sauce. And then I'm going to get started on chopping up a lot of jalapeno. This recipe also includes some green onion, and then I add cumin, salt, and pepper. Now that the marinade's ready, I am actually prepping chicken for 2 meals right now. So what I do is we have those giant chicken breasts from Walmart. And so I slice off the tender, and then I kind of just take my knife and estimate how much I need to cut off to kind of level the chicken rather than pound it out. My family doesn't miss the extra chicken off the chicken breasts, and I'm able to salvage enough from the breasts for a whole nother dinner, and they cook more evenly on the grill when I cut them like this. So once all that chicken is prepped, I get it mixed in the marinade and put a lid on it. And then I also have this bowl of chicken for another dinner ready to go. All right, with the chicken mess cleaned up and sanitized, I'm ready to go back to chopping. And I am actually prepping for two different things as I chop. I have a fresh pico de gallo that I'm working on, and then also the veggies for the cilantro, lime, rice, and beans. You get the idea. Lots of chopping. The pico de gallo is ready, and so I'm ready to turn my attention to the cilantro, lime, rice, and beans. So basically that is just sauteing the onion and jalapeno. Then we add white rice and kind of saute that for a minute. And then I also add some cumin at this point. If your household uses garlic, you would include that at this point as well. Then I also add 1 can of just diced green chilies. And then it's ready for the liquid, which I just use water with Better Than Bouillon for us. And then I add a can of beans and it's ready to simmer. Once the rice is cooked, I add some chopped cilantro and some lime juice, and then I grilled the chicken out on the Traeger. And this is the final product for our dinner on Saturday. I decided to have meatloaf and mashed potatoes for our Sunday dinner, and we are having some company over. We have 3 extra people for dinner, so I am making 2 meatloaves, and this is just my super simple meatloaf recipe. Sometimes I turn it into meatballs, and then other times I just put it straight into a loaf pan. So basically all it is 2 pounds of ground beef. Here I have obviously 4 pounds, and then a cup of oats for each meatloaf, and some onion soup mix, and then some milk. And then I mix it all together and put it in the loaf pans. And then I was so busy preparing for our company that this is the last of the video footage that I got. I made a spinach salad with that leftover homemade dressing, and we had a fruit salad as well. So that is what is left. And so now it's Monday, the day that I am stressed about, because as soon as I pick up my daughter from school, we head straight out of town. So I need to have dinner in the fridge for everyone before I leave. So I just whipped up a quick chicken salad and put that in the fridge. And then I looked at the clock and I still have just enough time to get a pasta salad going. I got a little carried away with work and didn't get started on this early enough. So I am rushing around. I have my veggies chopped. This is the dressing that I plan to use. And then it's just a matter of if the pasta is going to cook in time. In my rush to get everything made, I accidentally put way too much salt in the water for this pasta. And I go ahead and mix it all up because I think maybe it's not too bad once I have the dressing on it. And so as I am getting ready to leave, I discover that no, my mouth is starting to like burn from the sodium, having way too much salt on my tongue, and it's starting to feel weird. So I put a note on the fridge that says, don't eat this pasta, but I didn't have time to do anything else with it because we had to get to horseback riding lessons. So once we got back, I pulled out a salad kit instead, and that saved the day for our side dish. And so now we're on to Tuesday, and this was another day that I am stressed about. So I am just making white chicken chili because I know that I can put that in the crock pot and it will stay warm for everyone with all of the different times that they come back to the house. So for my white chicken chili, I just use 3 cans of Great Northern beans, 2 cans of diced green chilies, and I put chicken broth in there as well as like some dried chopped onion. I omit the garlic powder. And then once that's all heated through and it's had time to simmer, I add the sour cream, half and half, and the cooked chicken to kind of form through. And so this is my plate. I just use a tortilla for dipping, and we had some leftover fruit salad. And then the week is getting away from me. I am not filming very well, but I did make some homemade sloppy joes for Wednesday. Thursday, we had enough food in our fridge to just go ahead and do a leftover night. So then Friday, we ended the week with some breakfast burritos. And yes, that is ranch that I put on my burrito because it is delicious. So there you have it, 1 week of simple meals that kept our family out of the drive-thru line. We were able to meet our goal of not eating out this week. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like to continue to follow along with our family's meal planning shenanigans.